Good morning. It's another beautiful day, but first I really need some coffee, and we're gonna get to this later as well. There might not be a better way than to start your day off with coffee. I mean, is it even a good day if you don't start it off with coffee? Well, this is a good spot as any. So you're thinking about booking a trip to Cuba, but you're hearing about all these shortages and what to bring. What can you bring to make sure that you're comfortable when you're here? So since I've been coming here quite a bit, here's what I found that I should bring when I'm in Cuba. Snorkel. Obviously, you're coming here for the beach to swim, to relax and enjoy yourself. Make sure you bring a snorkel if you can, so that you don't have to borrow it from the hotel, right? And obviously, it also depends on the beach that you're coming to. Some beaches, there's no scope to actually snorkel. Like this beach, you can't really snorkel much. But if it's another beach where there's a coral reef, a lot of fishes around, you're gonna have a great time if you bring a snorkel. Tips. Now you're obviously not compelled to tip here, but your money goes a long way here. So what I usually bring are a stack of $1 US bills, along with maybe a few fives. The reason why you shouldn't tip with coins is because when the workers here deposit their money into their accounts, the bank doesn't accept coins. They only accept bills, whether it be Canadian bills or American bills. So make sure you're bringing bills to tip with. A thermos. Mine made a cameo earlier, and a thermos makes your life so much easier here because, you're out and about, you're at the beach, you're outside, it's hot as well, and you want your drinks to stay cool. You want your drinks to not have sand in them. And also it's great for coffee too. I mean, I personally have a Contigo one and it works great. It's waterproof and everything. Also, every time you get a drink here, they give it to you in a plastic cup, and that really adds up if you're drinking throughout the day, right? Now, you might have seen a lot of people saying that you should bring your own toilet paper. I personally have not had any shortages with toilet paper. The only thing is that the public washrooms, so the washrooms in the lobby and the communal areas, there might not be toilet paper in them. So if you want, you can bring the toilet paper that you get in your room around the resort. Any snacks you like. I'm sure you heard of the trade issues, the shortages here in the country. If you have favorite snacks like barbecue chips, whatever, bring them with you. You're probably not going to be able to find it anywhere here. And it's also nice when you're on a shuttle bus after a flight for 2 hours and you get hungry. Another thing is condiments. If you like your hot sauce, if you like your ketchup, mustard, etc., I would suggest bringing them. Personally, I don't really need any condiments, but if you can't live without condiments, I would suggest bringing them here because they more often than not might not have it. Small first aid kit is also a good thing. You're out and about, you might run around on the beach, you might fall, you might hurt yourself. So it's good to have at least a couple band-aids and things like that, so that you can take care of yourself when you do get hurt. Also, if it's a serious injury, the resorts have a doctor on duty. Medication. Now, if you need medication, that's another thing I would definitely 100% bring because you're not going to be able to buy it here. Even Tylenol, Advil, things like that, you won't find here. Now, there's this one form that they suggest you fill out 72 hours before entering the country. I think it's 72 hours. Yeah. And it's called I don't know how to pronounce this, but it's Giaveros. It's basically just like a form, like a customs declaration form that you have to fill out online, and I personally print it out and bring it with me. That's something that you absolutely need to enter the country. Another thing when you're entering the country, on paper they require travel health insurance. So if you have it with your credit card, that's great. You just need to perhaps have a copy of proof that you have travel insurance in case they ask. They haven't really asked me, but even if they didn't require it, it's always nice to have travel insurance when you're just roaming around the world, right? toiletries. If you need specific items for yourself, then I would definitely bring them, because again, you probably won't be able to buy them here. You know, things like creams, things like, yeah, you get it. Another thing that you should be mindful of is that they don't accept American credit cards here. So even if you're in Canada and you have a Capital One card, for example, then they won't accept it. But Visa Debit works fine, and I don't have to tell you about their beef with the Americans. So you might understand why they don't accept American credit cards, or perhaps they can't. Another very, very important thing that you need to remember to bring is patience. Because a country like Cuba, it's not the same as where we come from, a first world country, where everything is fast paced, you know, everything is quick, you know. Here, everything's more relaxed, everything's more mañana, right? So, you know, you go up to the bar, you're waiting for a drink, just, you know, have some patience and everything will sort itself out. If you have any issues in your room, things like that, I found that somebody will eventually come around to deal with whatever issue you have. But also, I mean, generally speaking, patience is a good rule of thumb no matter where you are, even when you're at home, right? This goes without saying, but sunscreen. Sunscreen is very important here. It's very hot, especially today. The sun is beating down, and you're definitely going to need sunscreen. Now, I would also suggest bringing it from home, because you might not be able to buy sunscreen here. And you know, aloe vera gel, things like that, to help your skin deal with the climate here, because it's quite a shock coming from a colder climate to here, right? Another big secret tip that I have is, if you are prone to heat rashes in tropical climates, then I would suggest getting, wait for it, Diaper Rash cream. Yeah, they're made for babies, so they're safe. And the ones with zinc oxide I found work great. Sure, it says baby diaper rash cream on the thing, but you can ignore it. You can run a Sharpie over it if that bothers you. But they work great. If you cannot live without the internet in terms of work or whatever, if you need to constantly stay on, I would suggest perhaps getting a Cuban SIM card here. You can get it actually online early on before your trip, and you can pick it up at the airport last time I checked. And it varies depending on the plan you get. So it's 10 gigs, 20 gigs, 50 gigs, or whatever it may be. And you can always top it up as you go along if you need more. But if it's pretty inexpensive for you to just use your own network, just to go with your own cell provider, then do that. But I mean, the Wi-Fi usually in the lobbies, they work great. You can watch YouTube, things like that. Obviously, it's not the best, but it's decent enough to get work done, whatever it may be. Another thing is gravel. I personally never had any stomach issues here, but I've seen people. There was this poor guy in the last resort that I went to. He was just walking around asking everybody if they had gravel, because his girlfriend became sick from eating the food here. So I would suggest bringing gravel in case your stomach does not vibe well with some of the food here. Another thing is VPN. Now, VPN, if you don't know, it basically masks the location where you're logging onto the internet from, and it provides better privacy for you. The thing is, a lot of companies, a lot of sites that we use, you know, might not actually work here in Cuba because they block it when you try to access it from Cuba. But Facebook, Instagram, you know, social media, things like that to reach your family at home works fine. But if there are specific sites that you need for it to work, you can either check if they work from Cuba, or you can just buy a VPN. It's pretty inexpensive to get for like a month. Another thing is a power bank. I mean, you don't really need a power bank, but yesterday I was on a day trip to a city, and a power bank came in handy because I had my camera, I had, you know, my phone, things like that. And it's always nice to have a power bank around whenever you're traveling around. But when you're inside the resort, you won't need a power bank usually. You can just go back to your room and charge whatever you need to. But I always have one with me personally. I feel better with it. This is one of the big things. Be sure to bring gifts for the locals, for the employees, you know, the landscapers in the hotel, or if you go outside of the resort, you know, give it to other people, because they are economically struggling here. And even if they have the money to buy certain goods, they might not have access to it. So every time I come here, I personally bring, little Advil bottles because that's a rarity here. And I also bring, sanitary pads for the women and toys for kids, little Hot Wheels, things like that. And, you can also bring t-shirts and whatever else you think they would find useful, toothpaste, toothbrush, things like that. It really goes a long way, and whenever you give it to them, they are insanely happy. And this is the most important thing. It's not something that you bring, but it's something that you leave behind. It's your first world stresses, all the worries that we have on our day-to-day lives, all the things that circulate in our heads over and over and over again when we're back at home. Leave them behind. They have no use here. There's no advantage to bringing them here. So just come here, enjoy yourself, and relax, and maybe do a bit of soul searching, right? Anyways, that's pretty much all I can think of right now, and I need to go apply more sunscreen, to be honest with you. Thank you for staying with me. See you in the next one.